Hey guys, Lytane here. Did you know it's been 20 years since the last Power Rangers movie came out? And the show itself has been running for 24 years. More phenomenal! That's just crazy! With a show that has had such a long run time, there is so much lore and so much story that it can, pull from for this movie. So I wonder, is it going to be shit, like, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film or the Transformers films? Will it be mediocre, or will it actually be good? There's only one way to find out, and that's to watch the movie yourself and, judge it for yourself. And then after that, come back and watch this review. Or you can just watch it now so you can hear my thoughts and feelings on the movie itself. Anyways, it's Morphin Time! The story for this movie is vastly different than the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and it will contain some spoilers as none of this was shown in the trailers, but I'll keep the spoilers very light. 65 million years ago, a huge fight on Earth took place between the old Power Rangers and Rita Repulsa. She proved to be far too strong for them as Zordon's dying breath, he sealed away the morphing coins, buried his spaceship, and knocked Rita into an ocean where she lay dormant in a near-death state. Fast forward a few million years to the present where Jason is being a reckless hooligan and gets sent to detention. Here he meets Billy, who's an autistic kid with a heart of gold that causes trouble with his inventions. Kimberly, who is a feisty and headstrong girl who punched out her friend's boyfriend after some of the bad things he did. They all end up in the quarry where Billy and Jason go together. Kimberly just likes walking around there to clear her head for some reason, and the other two main characters just happen to be there as well. Zack likes to spend his nights by a rusted train up in the quarry, and Trini comes here for some alone time. They get a shock when Billy explodes some of the rock face and each of them discover a strange coin and pick it up. The next day they realize that they are now super strong, they've got abs, old injuries are healed, and that something more is going on. They all go back to the quarry and accidentally discover the old ship where Alpha 5 is in it. He's a robot that has been keeping everything up and running for the last 65 million years, and Zordon, whose mind was uploaded into the computer just before he died. They are told that Rita Repulsa will be coming back, and in fact she was just fished out of the ocean the same day, so what a coinkydink. They have to train, learn to morph and become Power Rangers in order to stop her. They aren't very good at it though, because they don't trust each other, so they must train to become awesome. Can they do it all before Rita kills them, or can they put a stop to her evil plans? So I saw this film with a few other people, and they weren't massive Power Ranger fans like I was, so some of the views and points in this review will be from their side of things as well, just to give a more rounded sense of the Power Rangers movie. So one of the best things about the film is that all of the main characters have a much more fleshed out and expansive backstory than the show ever did for them. In the show, the teenagers with attitude don't really have an attitude. They're all like prissy good boys and girls. They're like, the straight A students. They're always doing the extracurricular stuff. They don't have any attitude or anything. They're just really boring, and they're there to market, good behavior to children, which is fine for a TV show. The characters in the movie do have attitude. Each of them are feisty, and they have their own backstories and their own flaws, which make them so much more three-dimensional than the show ever did. There's an especially good part of the film where they all are hanging around each other and they decide, look, maybe one of the reasons why we're not friends is because we don't open up to each other, and they actually open up to each other. That point of the film is really well done, with each of the person's backstories and like their fears and everything coming out to the rest of the group. It was so good. That kind of stuff was never in the original show, and I think that was a very good thing for this film. Zordon as well got a much more expansive backstory, with him being a ranger before he got uploaded into the computer to be the sort of mentor of the group. Even Rita Repulsa has a much more elaborate backstory, but I'll get into that more in the spoilers section. In my opinion, the designs of the suits look pretty cool. I really get the Iron Man vibe for it and everything, but it sort of does look like the original suits, just an upgraded version of them, and I'm honestly fine with that. The best part about it is the visors themselves open, so you can see their face whilst they're in the suit, which is fantastic because you rarely got to see that in the show because most of the footage of them in the suits was from Japan, so they couldn't really do that. But in the movie they do that quite often, and I really enjoy that. Another thing that I really like that they did very different from the show is that in the final fight, they use the Zords in their base form a lot more often than they ever did in the show. You get to see the Tyrannosaurus, the saber-toothed tiger, the pterodactyl, and all the others, there only being 2. I can't believe I missed out just 2. The Triceratops, and I think it's a bug. I don't know what the Black Ranger's Zord is. Anyways, you get to see them in the town actually fighting and doing off some cool moves, like, you know, and teaming up with each other, and I think that was really, really cool. That's something that you didn't get to see very often in the show, and I think that that's why they did this in the movie, just to give it a kind of fresh feel. There are some cons to this film as well, and the one I'm going to start with is the other designs in this film, where I didn't mind the Power Rangers' new look. Most of the everything else was shit. The putties in this film are so boring and bland and just completely forgettable. They are just rock monsters. They don't have any kind of personality, they don't have any kind of distinctive look, and it's just so freaking boring. They could have done anything, you know, like, imagination is literally limitless. But no, it's just rock people. During the end of the film, when Rita's attacking the town, she makes more putties, and they do have a bit more unique feel to them because they start to get, like, street signs in their head and, you know, like, manhole covers on them and stuff like that, which gives them a new look and design, but they aren't used. Like, it doesn't mean anything. They just get shot at by the Zords and all gone. Like, they're not good to look at, they're just so boring. The other major thing I hated was Goldar. I honestly think that when the people made this move, they're like, oh, okay, what characters can we use? And somebody said the word Goldar, and he's like, oh, Goldar, okay, a guy made out of gold. That's what Goldar is in this film. It's just a really, really tall monster that is made out of gold. He has no personality, no anything. He doesn't have a single line. He screams a little bit, but that's about it. In the film, Goldar is Rita's second in command, and he has so much personality, and he is throughout, like, so many seasons of the show because they owned the costume and they wanted to use him a lot. But still, like, he had such a big presence in the show to just be turned into a mindless gold monster that doesn't do much in the movie. I don't get it. The other thing is that both of these monsters are all CGI, so when the fights do happen, it's one of those CGI fights. It's just, you know, something that isn't really there hitting something else that isn't really there. And I don't get why they did this. Like, the Rangers themselves in the suits, and before they even morph, they don't get very many fight scenes in the film. There's literally 3 fight scenes in the film and a training montage. That's it. With the training montage, yes, they're fighting hologram versions of the putties, but that doesn't really count. They only have one real humanoid fight with the putties, they have one fight with Rita, and then they have one fight at the end where they're in the Zords. I wanted more. I wanted more action and more fighting. I wanted them to kick ass and, like, have more things to do, but no. None of that is in the film. Like, why? Where this film should have been a lot more action-based, it just wasn't. They had a lot more story in this film, which I suppose is alright because I did enjoy the story, but I was left wanting so much more. I don't get why the Rangers didn't fight Rita when they morphed into their suits. They only had one fight before they morphed. That was it. Like, oh gosh, there was just so much more to do. Sorry, I'm just getting a little bit lost and I'm probably repeating myself a little bit, but it's just so hard to get out the fact that there are the other fight when they do morph, when they're fighting the putties, probably goes for like 3 or 4 minutes. That's all. Why? Rita was a bit of a mixed bag for me. I didn't mind her new costume and layout. I thought it was pretty cool and unique, but some of her motivations for doing what she was doing was kind of boring. The whole reason why she's attacking Earth is to get the Zeo crystals, which is from a future season of Mighty Morphin, well, technically Power Rangers Zeo, but still, it's from a future season. I thought that was a really cool addition into this story because they're going to be setting up things for later. I'm like, that's great, that's fantastic. But her motivation for doing anything is just, I want more power. Like, they fleshed out her backstory so much more just to give her such a generic bad guy motivation of just, I want more power. That's it. Alright, so this is going to be the spoiler section of the review. Hit this little annotation if you don't want any kind of spoilers for the Power Rangers movie, otherwise you have been warned. And let's get on with the review. One of the best parts of this movie that I thought was such a strong moment is that they kill Billy. Yes, I'm just gonna let that sink in for you right there. They kill one of the Power Rangers. Rita Repulsa gets attacked by the Rangers before they morph, and they are just absolutely no match for her. And she kills Billy. Like, wow, I did not see that one coming, especially in such, like a kid-friendly movie. So then they get Billy and they bring him back to Zordon, and they go to Zordon, hey, can you do anything for him? And Zordon's like, no, I can't. Now, earlier on in the film, about halfway through, they find out the fact that Zordon is trying to use the Power Rangers to open up the morphing grid so then he can come back to life. It's kind of sketchy, all the details, but, at least they set it up beforehand. So when the kids are there and they're mourning Billy, and they all realize that they are friends and they would do anything for each other, especially to bring Billy back to life, that's what connects them and finally opens the morphing grid. So Zordon goes and he's all like, okay, it's time for me to come back to life. But then he has a change of heart, and for some reason or somehow, it's really, really, really not explained, Billy comes back to life. So they just went from this most amazing moment to one of the points in the film that I really hated. They did not explain how or why Billy could come back to life. It is fully explained, and they go into a little bit of detail about how Zordon would come back, because just before he's died, his entire consciousness was uploaded into the computer, and then the computer uses the morphing grid as its sort of like battery, so then he could come through the morphing grid and come back to life. Billy is not hooked up in any way, shape, or form to the morphing grid, and he died, way off screen, far away from the ship, so there's no way that he probably was linked. And then he didn't step through the morphing grid or anything, he just suddenly woke up, and Zordon's like, yeah, I sort of did this for you. It was so vague, and for such a thing that they built up, I just don't know why they did it like that. So, great idea, turned into a shitty resolution. So, the other thing I really, really hated were the changes to Rita's backstory. In this film, she is the Green Ranger. Like, no joke. Right from the opening, 65 million years ago, Zordon's like, oh no, we're being attacked by the Green Ranger. And then you see Rita standing there attacking them, and I was like, holy shit, she's the Green Ranger. Why? I don't know why they made her the Green Ranger. It just adds so many more complications to her backstory and her life that really didn't need to be there. Throughout the entire film, the whole point of this film was that the formation of the new Power Rangers, right? They can't morph because in order to access the morphing grid, all the Power Rangers have to be in tune with one another and with themselves in order to access the grid. Like, it's explained throughout the whole film because they can't morph up until towards the end. But then Rita can morph. So how? How is she being able to morph when she is not in tune with the rest of the Power Rangers? She's not in tune with the universe or anything like that? Or is she only allowed to morph because she morphed in her past? Or is she allowed to morph because the other Rangers that she was associated with are dead, so she only has to associate with herself? It doesn't make any sense, and there's no explanation or anything. She also has powers that the other Rangers don't exhibit. Like, she can control gold, she can make putties, she has the scepter, she can use sort of magic. Is that like a Green Ranger trait? Is that like one of her alien traits? Will the future Green Ranger have these abilities? I would say no, but none of that is ever explained. Making her the Green Ranger just adds so many complications to the story. I don't know why they just didn't make her space alien that was attacking the Rangers. That just, fits, and it's so much easier to tell. I think they just wanted to make all the characters have more depth, and while it worked with the 5 main characters, hell, even Zordon got a little bit more depth, it just fell super flat and fucking pissed me off with Rita. All of her motivation, everything that she was doing, just so fucking stupid. Not only that, but they also state at the beginning of the film and a few times throughout the film that the morphing coins pick people that are pure of heart and are good-natured in order to create the best kind of superhero in the world. That means at one point, Rita must have been pure of heart because, she got one of the morphing coins. But then, like I said, her motivation for taking over the universe is just that she wants more power. She's already a freaking Power Ranger. Like, she has the abilities that none of the other Power Rangers have. Like, she's already got so much power. Why does she want more? Like, what is her real motivation. Oh, so annoying. But that's not the most annoying part. The most annoying part in the whole film are the Zords. I stated before that the final fight has the Zords in the base form fighting everybody. And like I said, they don't get out of the Zords. There's no like real punching or kicking or like real fighting. It's just mostly CGI Tyrannosaurus shooting stuff. And like I said, I got a bit of a kick out of that, but the whole fight scene was that. So yeah, they should have balanced it out a little bit better. But towards the end of the fight, they're holding the line against Goldar, and they're all like together, and they're like, you know, being as a group and all that kind of stuff, which was the whole message of the film. And Goldar pushes them off the edge into a deep chasm filled with fire, and that is how the Megazord is created, because the camaraderie of the team or something like that, it, like I said, it makes no sense. And then you just get like brief glimpses in the fire of like, you know, gears and stuff turning, of things joining together. And then out of the smoke and fire stands up the Megazord. The new design for the Megazord is alright. I didn't mind it. The command center in his head is changed. And so each of the rangers have their own parts of the body, which associates to their animal. And I think that's okay. That means each character is associated with a different part, so they are the ones that have to control that. And I think that's a cool idea. That means they have to work as a team in order to use the Megazord, as opposed to the original show, which was just mostly the Red Ranger driving it and everybody else just sitting off to the side. It also leads to a few good jokes where they don't know how to walk properly yet and all that kind of stuff. And I thought that was fine. Like, it was okay. But the fucking fusion of the Megazord just made no goddamn sense. In the show, the Megazord is one of the biggest spectacles. You go through a fucking 5-minute sequence of them going, you know, calling out their Morphin fucking Tyrannosaurus, Mastodon, you know, Saber-toothed Tiger, Triceratops, Pterodactyl. And then you get to see all of the things running out and coming out of volcanoes and, you know, digging through, and then they're running together. They actually mimicked that scene in the film too, and they sung the Go-Go Power Rangers, but that's just an aside thought. And then they're all running together, and then you just see them changing in mid-air and fusing together, and there's thunder, and it's just so amazing. Seeing that for the first time as a kid, you just get hyped up, especially when the Power Rangers theme song is playing, and it's just so goddamn amazing. And this film, it's a fucking waste of time. It's just them falling into fire. You get a brief little glimpses of them joining together, and then boom, they're there. There's no big spectacle. There's nothing. It was such a fucking waste of time to bring the Megazord in without having them be a Megazord. I don't get why they did this either. It's just so fucking lame. Like, the whole fight, everything was leading up to the Megazord. I knew it was, because I'm a Power Rangers fan. I knew that this was going to be how the fight ended. And then the Megazord came out, and I'm like, that's it. Rita is also not a very big threat towards the end of the film, where she's just mostly walking around with her staff, making putties, and trying to get Goldar to dig up the Zeo crystal. She doesn't really do much, and then towards the end she fuses into Goldar for some reason. I don't know, maybe to make him more powerful, maybe that's her Zord. I don't know, like, it really doesn't make sense. And then the way that they defeat her is they just backhand her, they just bitch slap the fuck out of that thing. That's how they defeat her, and it was set up towards the beginning of the film, and there was a joke associated with that backhand. But there was no cool sword play. They do have the swords from the Zords, like he pulls it out and he does like 2 slices and then he stabs Goldar and he backhands Rita. There was so much more they could have done. Like, Goldar brings out a sword. They could have had a real sword fight, and like, it would have been so cool. I've been waiting 20 years to see a very amazing Power Rangers fight on the big screen. And it looks like I'm just going to have to wait another 20 years because this was so fucking shit. So that's the end of the spoilers, so it's all safe to watch now. Now, nostalgia aside, my friends also watched this film with me, and they thought it was alright. A lot of the complaints I had, they had as well, like the final fight being kind of boring. They also liked the new character development and depth to everybody. They thought that was fine. Some of the other little questions that they had were like stuff to do with Billy, but they had a lot of the same thoughts and ideas that I had. But to me, I think it was a bit more of a letdown because of that nostalgia, because I was expecting certain things to happen. And when I did get some of that fan service, I was pretty giddy. Like, they do some of the famous lines, like it's Morphin Time, and Rita even says, "Make my monster grow," and I got little giddy moments out of that where the other guys just right over their heads. But that's fine, that was made for people like me. But during those small fan service moments, my other friends were like, "This is kind of boring." It didn't have enough happening in the movie for them to get truly interested and invested in. So I think as a fan, it let me down because it needed more, and as somebody that isn't a fan, it still needed more. That's the slogan for Power Rangers. It needs more! Also, just as a pet peeve, they didn't name the Zords either. Like, in the original, they scream out the names of the Zords, which is why I remember them all. But in this one, they didn't say any one of their names, so I have no idea what everybody's Zord was. I can guess 4 out of 5 just because it's the same design as the original, but I have no idea what the Black Ranger's Zord is because I think it's a 6-legged bug thing. In the original, he has got a mastodon, so I'm not sure what this one's meant to be, honestly. I don't know, but that's just a pet peeve. Another pet peeve of mine is that there is so much CGI in this film, which, yeah, I expected as much, but why do people in Hollywood hate color? I just don't get it. Like, the Power Rangers are all about being associated with a specific color, and this movie has all the grays and browns and blacks you could ever want. Even the Zords, they're like, the Tyrannosaurus is just like a dull red with mostly metal, or the Saber-Tooth Tiger is a dull yellow, mostly metal. Why did they make them bright and colorful and vibrant to, you know, show off some of the visual effects that they can? I think it's because they wanted to go a little bit more of a darker and, you know, more edgy route, that they made the world a little bit more darker and edgy, but fuck, man. Just show me some color, please. In the end, I'm going to give Power Rangers a 6.5 out of 10. There is so much room for improvement of this film, and honestly, I am still looking forward to a sequel because they have established these characters now. So in a sequel, they have so much more that they can play with. They don't have to wait an entire movie for the for them to morph. No, they have instantly got that under their belt, so they can be more fight scenes, they can be more action, they can be higher stakes than this film had. So I'm looking forward to a sequel, but this film alone has so many flaws, and I think that as a fan, it's okay. As not a fan, it's okay. So 6.5 is what I give it. So guys, tell me what you thought about the new Power Rangers film. Did you go in it with high nostalgia like I had, or did you just watch it fresh? You know, I'm curious to see what you guys thought, because I was very underwhelmed with this film, just like a lot of the nostalgic films that are coming out nowadays, like Transformers and Ninja Turtles. I just think that the people that are making these are cashing in on such great IPs, but they're not doing the source material justice. Like, they're just making it to get a quick buck. But anyways, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. That years, how just more phenomenal. Wow, that's a weird word to say. More phenomenal. How more phenomenal is that? That means at one point, Rita